Welcome back, everybody, to the All Out Motorsports YouTube channel. I'm your host, Alex Bowman, and today we are working on getting Nike ready to go racing. Let's get started. So, before I get started, there's something I need to address with the naming of my karts. So, if we come on over here, this one has always been known as Aries, and this one has always been known as Nike. This one has the aggressive body, the aggressive fairing. This one is going to have the pink, the flow, soft, everything. And once I got thinking about it, I realized that the aggressive style fit much more with Aries and everything like that Greek god has to do with, and the flowy style was much more like feminine and went along with Nike a lot better. And I'm not super connected to the names of the karts, so with that being said, I decided to switch it up a little bit. I decided to switch their names, so hopefully this doesn't make them mad. They haven't had their names very long, so it should be okay. But this one will now be Nike, and this one will now be Aries. Aries is the older one, more aggressive, and Nike is the newer one that's more soft and beautiful. So, with that being said, we are going to work on Nike today. I have a bunch of parts sitting here in the seat, and I also made a list of all the stuff that needs to be done to get everybody ready to race. So I'm going to start looking through Nike's list and start knocking these off one by one. So first thing I am going to do is put on the new rear bumper. So, like I mentioned in one of my past videos, I got a new rear bumper for Nike. And this kart's never touched a track before, and I'm putting a new rear bumper on. It's a slightly different style. It's supposed to help the kart work a little bit better. I'm not going to go into too much detail about it because I want it to be a little secretive. But yeah, so I need to switch out that rear bumper, and then this rear bumper that's on there right now will be a backup for in case anything gets too bent up or anything like that. I can throw that old one on there. It won't be quite as good, but it'll get by for a backup. Okay, so I got the new rear bumper installed. Turned out pretty nicely. It looks exactly the same as the old one. Like if I grab this and we put them side by side here, they look exactly the same, but the new one's got a little trick up its sleeve. During that time, I also ended up putting the catch can line on from the valve cover to the catch can, and I also hooked up the throttle linkage. So you can see this here. I do a little bit of grinding on that to get it to where I want it, and then ran this like that. I don't have this fully set to where I want it yet, but I'll get that figured out once we get closer to racing. So now, I need to figure out what I want to do next. Next thing is running the fuel line. So, funny thing that I found out, actually, I thought I had a ton of fuel line, like 50 feet of it. Because I had this roll, this is actually from something else, but I had this roll, and then I had another roll up on the shelves. Turns out that roll that's now down on the floor is the wrong size. So, I still have quite a bit here because I have this stuff that was in my toolbox from last year and this stuff that I just bought. So these are both the correct size. I already checked it out. So we are going to work on running the fuel line for Nike. I'll have to run a new fuel line for Aries as well, but we're just focusing on Nike tonight. And just like that, simple as can be, we got a new fuel line on. So I'll show you quickly how I decided to run it, which is what I've been doing for a few years now. So comes up out of here, loops over. I'm gonna get a zip tie and just zip tie that onto the steering column there. It runs along underneath this seat slider along here. It'll zip tie here with the throttle cable and then run up along here. Nice fresh fuel filter into the fuel pump. Looking down this list of things to work on, one of the things that I need to check out is the brakes. So I had changing the brake pedal on it because it was hitting the front of the body. As I would press it, it would hit, but I already kind of did that. As you can see, these pedal stops are differently. They're set up a little bit differently. Should be okay. I'll have to figure it out once I sit in the cart. But I think even with the little offset, it'll be okay. It'll get me better travel with the pedal. But the most exciting thing that I discovered with this new cart just now. So I'm super finicky about my brakes. Like every week I'm tweaking on them, tuning on them, trying to get the right brake pedal feel. And on Aries, the old cart, let's come over here to the brake calipers. I like to get that gap between the pads and the rotor to be as small as possible. And you adjust it with these little holes here. Well, there's this one for the top on this side. And then, as you can see back there, there's another one for the bottom. But you can't get to it unless you take this hub off, which is a pain in the butt to do. And then it raises it up and everything's kind of actually out of alignment when you do that. So it's really, really hard to do. So on Nike that I just discovered, come look down here, it's a different style caliper, and there's the top one, and if you look right there, there's the bottom one, perfectly in a gap where you can get the right size Allen in there. So that is going to make it so much easier for me to tweak on my brakes and get my brakes exactly how I want them, because like I said, I love brakes. I'm super finicky with them. Some people just like barely have brakes at all while they're racing. Me, I have to have them absolutely perfect because I like to use them to get the cart rotated. I like to have it in a place where like if I am too tight, I can get harder on the brakes and it'll help it pitch more. If I am too loose, I can not be on them as hard and it'll tighten it up some. So having my brakes perfect is key to that though. And this small little upgrade is going to be massive for that. I'm so excited. It's those little things like having extra clearance to get to a bolt that make a race car mechanic excited. Last thing I'm going to do for tonight is adding some safety wiring to some bolts that I don't want to ever come out. So Slack did a really good job this year with safety wiring most of the major components that need to be safety wired. So big one being like brake calipers, the brake rotor, and the brake master cylinder. However, I also need to do the steering column bolts, the ends of the axle here, which I'm not going to do quite yet because I have to make some adjustments to the axle, and the steering wheel bolts. Gotta do these. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that tonight, and yeah, should be pretty easy. So that turned out a lot better than I thought it was going to. Doing safety wire always kind of stresses me out because I like everything to look super nice, and I'm not always the best at it until apparently today I figured out how to do it. If we come over here and look at Aries, actually that one's not too bad either. This one here is not super nice. This one is, but that one's not. But I'll show you guys what I just did. Look at that. I hope you can see it without that light being too bright. Here, there we go. That might be better. Yeah, look. Nice tight spirals. Then come down here. And we got all through there. Yeah. I'm so happy with how that turned out. Looks a whole lot nicer than I thought it was going to. And on that note, it is late. I am tired. And I'm going to pick this back up tomorrow morning. Good morning, everybody. We are back at it today. And that really loud bird is still here. There's a lot of them. I don't know where they came from. They just like all of a sudden appeared overnight. But anyways, first thing we're going to do this morning is take the axle off the cart, and I am putting a new sprocket hub on it. I got a new style of sprocket for Nike, and we're going to need a new sprocket hub for that. So we're going to start off with that, which isn't super hard. It's just these two bolts here and these two bolts here, and then it all pops off. But then I'll have to take this off, slide all that off, slide the current hub off, new one on, put it all back on. So I'm gonna get like a Sharpie and mark the positioning of everything. That way I make sure everything goes back exactly how it was, so nothing is getting messed up. Finished up getting the sprocket carrier switched out. As you can see right here, got the new one on. I got the chain on. Got that all lined up and everything, looking good. I also messed with the brakes a little bit. The excitement I had last night about the adjustability on the brakes very quickly went away when I found out that these bolts don't actually adjust the brakes at all. They're just there to change the brake pads. But I got a little tricky with it. You come up here, I have these pedal stops here. I just moved it so this footrest holds the pedal there so that it just can't return all the way, and there's a little bit of pressure on the pedal at all times. And I can adjust in these holes here and these holes here exactly how far away I want the brake pads to be in the back. And right now I have them pretty close, not perfect, but pretty close. And I know that if I want them further away, I can move this down holes. If I want it closer, I can move this down to there. And if I do move that down to there, it's just any pressure on the brake pedal immediately engages the brakes, which I might end up doing, but I also kind of rest my foot on the brake pedal while I'm driving because it's a 2-foot driver. So I don't want to accidentally be dragging the brakes. So I think I'm going to leave it with a little bit of play, and I'll just get used to that. But I am super excited about how that ended up turning out. Moving on to the next part. I'm pretty sure it's like the last thing I really have to do on the cart itself, the other few things are just on the body, is I need to get these front wheel bearings cleaned out. When here, I'll show you what they look like when they come from the factory. So take this off real quick, take the cover off, and ooh, that was close. If you look in there, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, there's like, here, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but there's like a lot of like jelly in there, and it's in there. It's like a jelly Vaseline sort of deal. They do that because it'll last for a long time and be fine. But look at the spin. Doesn't spin very long. Whereas if you come over to Aries, go inside the wheel well here, spins a lot longer. This still isn't great because I haven't re-lubed this or anything for this year, but it's still better than that jelly that they put in there. So I need to get all of that out of there. What I did last year was I have an ultrasonic parts cleaner, and I just threw them in there for a few minutes and it pretty much got all of it out. So I need to check to see if I have parts cleaner that I can put in there to use that again. If not, I'll have to go get some of that. I was gonna do it by hand, and I just now remembered that I have that parts cleaner. So we're gonna do that. Got the bearings all cleaned out. The parts cleaner worked awesome, mostly. There were two of them, the bigger one and one of the smaller ones, that I had to manually get a small screwdriver and kind of scrape some of the goop out of there. But the other two, all of it was gone. Worked awesome. I've got them back in the hubs now. And you can see, compared to how they spun before, it just keeps going and going and going. Obviously, a lot better. That's not even with any lubrication in it. So I'm gonna stop that so it doesn't wear out without it being lubed up. I also repainted my weights while I was waiting. I think I'm gonna throw a coat of clear coat on them just to help the paint stay on there better. I did use some self-etching white for once, so hopefully that'll help as well. The paint normally comes off super easy on those lead pucks for some reason, and I think I'm gonna throw a coat of clear on there as well, just because this is a very rough surface and I think it's gonna be hard to get it clean when it gets dirty and all that dust gets in the grooves. So next thing up, I am going to throw the body back on there, and we are going to put the nose molding on, graphic savers, and I believe that's about it for what we can do right now. Pretty much everything's done with Nike that needs to be done, and it'll be ready to hit the track soon. Wow, well, just like everything else I've been doing recently, that turned out a lot nicer and a lot easier than I expected it to. So I think that heat gun that I used helped a ton, because one of the hard things is, well, here first, just look at this. This is sexy. I'm sorry. Yeah, I really like that. But one of the hard things is kind of around the nose here, and then it's not really a straight line to the back. It kind of goes and then hooks up a little bit, and it does that on both sides. So it's really hard to get the molding on there because it has to turn in a weird way. So just that slight bit of heat allowed me to just kind of twist it and stick, and then now that it's cool, it's gonna stay right there forever. So I still want to put, this will stay perfect just how it is, but I like to put some rivets in it. So I like to put like a yellow rivet here and here, probably right in the front here, and then over on this side. In the past, I've done them all the way across the front. I think that's a really cool look because I really like the aggressive, like, I feel like it gives it more of like a muscle car kind of look. But that's a lot of work to do. And then if I ever take that off, a lot more work to do. So I typically just kind of go with the 6 on there the last few years. But I can't find my yellow rivets right now. So that'll be a problem for down the road. Also, I really hope that you can see what I'm saying right now, because I just realized I'm talking with all the light behind me. Okay, well, I believe I have Nike pretty much ready to go racing. Too bad I still have about a month until the first race that I'm going to be going to. Should be May 1st. If not May 1st, it'll be May 8th. So just slightly over a month until I'll be back on the track. And Nike is looking fabulous. Like, look at this. This front piece really just brings it all together. The pink looks amazing. I still need to get the numbers and move the name and everything, but it feels good to have it ready to go. All right, well, on that note, I'm gonna go ahead and end it off. Remember, like and subscribe, comment down below any thoughts you have of things you want to see, and remember, pecker up, hammer down.